Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I'm doing a sketchbook tour. For the month of October, I did Vlogtober and I did Botanicals every single day. This is a discontinued Lecterm A6. They no longer make this size in this color. I did a Posca. I thought about doing some textural stuff, some typography of some sort, saying Botanicals, but I couldn't figure out a way to make that work and make it look good, so I just opted for a Monstera leaf. This is mixed media, so I have colored pencil and pen, and I wanted the inside end papers to sort of reflect that. And here's where I started in the challenge. So everything is to actual size of things I picked from my yard or found while walking. So Western sword fern. Here is a piece of bark from a redwood tree. I have the colors I used, I have the labeling, and then I have some warm-up sketches and composition ideas. Here's an anemone. This one is my lightest one. I don't know that this one was successful just because you kind of have to see it in person to see the very pale light gray. So this one would have benefited definitely from some more leaf elements. But in my planning, in my rotation, I very specifically had flowers. Here's an herb rosemary, blackberry. Here's a Norway maple, found this one on a walk. Here's just a found branch. I wanted to try wood as an element, so I have bits of bark and wood and sticks and stuff. Here's garden lobelia. This is a very tiny, delicate flower. Here's spearmint. This is something I grow on our herb counter. Pomegranate, I have fruit. Here's a woolly bear. So this is actually out and about in October. This is a lovely little caterpillar, and later in the sketchbook you will see the moth it turns into. Nasturtium. It's our front yard planting from years ago. Here's another stick I found. A lot of browns. A lot more browns than you'd think go into this. So it's good that I kept the notes. Here's baby sage. Here's basil. And I'm alternating. One illustration is all colored pencil and the next one's a combination pen and ink. So this is a little tiny pumpkin, Jack B. Little. Here's a found leaf. I'm not sure what tree that's from. Tough to say. Here's a piece of found bark. I really enjoy drawing bark, more so than I thought I would. Here's a sunflower. This one I think would be much more dynamic if it was all in color. Lamb's ear. Again, that was something that was planted in our yard that we just kept. Here's a found apple. A lot of apples where we live. Here's a banana slug. Very iconic to the region we live in, and they're all over our yard all the time. So morning and dusk, and definitely during the rains. Here's another found leaf. This one has definitely seen better days, which made it fun to draw. Here's a found branch with some lichen, and I do have some like bits of bark and things in here as I was drawing. Here's herb Robert. Part of the geranium family. I think this is an invasive species. I'm not sure. Pothos, this is one of our house plants. Here's a persimmon. Very fall fruit. Here's ivy. It's there for life. We're never going to be able to eradicate it. Here's a found pine cone. Dock cress, which is kind of one of the weeds that comes up wild in our yard. We have another one. We have lawn daisy, but it is white and white on white paper, where I'm just trying to show that the flower is the most important bit. Wouldn't work at all. Pacific redwood. Lots of branches floating around. Rambutan. It's a fun fruit, and they ripe in October. Pacific tree frog. They were all over the pumpkin patch when we were picking out pumpkins. Bear's breeches. This is another plant we've tried to get rid of in our yard, and it just keeps coming back. Here's a found branch. It had like moss and lichen and all kinds of weird stuff on it. Pacific aster. I don't think this illustration worked at all. It looked like the plant, it just didn't look good in general. I think The smaller versions of it are more dynamic and interesting. Dill. Here's a Bartlett pear. It's pear season. Here's another leaf. This is from our butterfly bush, and I really tried to focus on the veins a bit. It's definitely seen better days because this is typically in the spring a very dark green leaf. Another found piece of wood. Here's agapanthus. I found some in our yard. This is a very weird angle for it. It doesn't grow down, it grows out. And this is part of the, well, I'll get into talking about this size and drawing to actual size in a minute. So flamingo dappled willow. This is just sort of a decorative shrub. We have cranberries. This is the season to buy them fresh. Here's the Isabella tiger moth. This is what a woolly bear looks like when it hatches. And I drew it with its wings out just to make it bigger so it filled the page a little bit better. Here's a leaf from our cherry tree, and this is not what they look like in the springtime. They're beautiful and green, like a dark rich green and whole, but this is what they look like in October. Piece of found wood. Here's purple top vervain. This is compliments to my neighbor, thank you. Here's bay leaf, and then here's my doodles on the end pages, and here is the pocket that Lectern has in part of their design. So this is my A6 sketchbook all filled out. Now, I have never done a botanical illustration sketchbook before. It's just focusing on this topic. So there were good things and maybe bad things or things to consider if you were going to do a challenge like this. One is obviously time of year. So I chose to do this in October and sort of link it to my Vlogtober, a video a day. And in doing so and making sure, I'll show you some of my notes, that I have flowers in the rotation, it became increasingly more difficult. Here are my notes. Put flowers in the rotation when there aren't a lot of flowers blooming in October. And then this is me trying to make sense. See, here's, I made a lot of notes to make sure I could pull off Vlogtober and this sketchbook. And everything is patterned, so there's a little bit more cohesion and thought that went into building this and putting this together. But flowers are few, especially in our yard. So I think if I were to do this challenge again and I wanted to focus on flowers, on more bright colors, I would do this challenge in April. And then if I were to do this challenge again in October, I would just focus, I think, on leaves, on branches. I mean, I didn't even get to everything I wanted to draw. So our trees spit some fun stuff. And I didn't get to everything. The other thing, worth noting, especially the agapanthus, is size disparity. So if we look at the agapanthus versus, hold on, we'll get there, maybe. The garden lobelia. This is the actual size, like I still have some samples in my room. It's a very tiny, delicate flower. So on the page, it looks a little small. It fits, it's fine. It's just a little small. Versus something like the agapanthus, which don't cut and clip these guys. They do not keep, they're not for vases. It's huge. The size difference is massive between the two. Okay, this is also losing blooms. So you see that in not having a lot of options in October, I really had to go with just what I had. And this doesn't work, I don't think, on the page as much as maybe this does a little bit. So I drew him like this to sort of fit the flower blossoms on, but it's not the strongest illustration and I don't think it translates well. So things that fit most of the page for the A6 size, I think look the best in this sketchbook. Really finding things that fit versus things that just take up a tiny portion. There's a lot of empty space, especially, you know, with cranberries. This is a great day because I was super busy. So it's good to have some things that are super quick draws for busy days, especially if you're drawing every single day for a month or doing a drawing and video challenge every day. But I've done A6 with insects before, and what I would have done with this moth is I would have done it this way and filled the whole page. I would have flipped them horizontal. This is to size, but it's just not as dynamic as it could be, filling the whole page. And I wouldn't have chosen this moth anyway. There just isn't enough like details and weird colors and stuff. So going with what I had, like this is one of the better layouts and illustrations just because it fills the page. So again, going forward, to do this again in October, I would just do different leaves, I think. And then I would do flowers in the spring. And then I would be more thoughtful and more sort of exacting with the types and sizes of flowers. So there really is a better focus. I really enjoy doing wood. That was something that was a surprise. Like there's something meditative about just combining and mixing browns. Or maybe just a book of different herbs. I don't know. It was definitely like a learning experience. And also this was my first time drawing fruit. I don't typically draw fruit, so that was fun. I've done it once now with this. I don't need to do it again. If I were to do this again, I would add eyes. I would look up probably a cougar and put large cat eyes in here and have it be some sort of surreal looking thing to make it more interesting. I've done amphibians before. I've never done a mollusk before. So there were some very new things in this drawing challenge. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed. I will link the playlist for Vlogtober if you want to see me drawing some of these things and talking about them. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.